Every morning, before the world awakens, there exists a fragile yet sacred moment. It arrives before your phone lights up, before the weight of deadlines presses down, before anyone asks anything of you. This is the still space, the threshold between ownership and surrender. Most people open their eyes and immediately give away their energy, checking messages, scrolling through social media, stepping into noise before ever coming home to themselves. And with every small action, a silent agreement is made. My mind no longer belongs to me. My emotions will be led by the world. My day will be claimed by chaos, not clarity. But there is another way, a path of presence, of reclaiming the sacred time that each morning offers. That first hour isn't meant to be an escape from life. It is a preparation to enter it with deeper strength. This is the hour when you breathe with awareness, sit with unformed thoughts, walk in silence, and listen to the heartbeat within. At the Shaolin Temple, they didn't rise early for romance or ritual. They woke because mastery begins when the world is still. The day was not allowed to shape them. They shaped the day. When you choose presence over reaction, silence over speed, you're not merely existing, you are leading your life. And from that very moment, you begin to reclaim the authorship of your soul's journey. That first hour of your morning is not a demand. It's an invitation to return to yourself before the world begins asking you to be everything else. This is the lesson I learned deeply at the Shaolin Temple. There, the 1 hour rule wasn't a suggestion. It was a sacred rhythm. We woke before the sun, not because it sounded noble, but because it was the gateway to clarity. Before the world stirred, we sat in silence. We breathed with intention. We moved with purpose. And in that first hour, something subtle but powerful unfolded. The day followed our rhythm, not the other way around. So what truly is the 1 hour rule? It's not just about time. It's a spiritual declaration. This hour belongs to me. It is not borrowed, not diluted by distractions, not offered to devices or demands. It's a sacred space where you choose stillness over stimulation, clarity over chaos. You breathe, you stretch, you write, walk, or simply sit. You listen, not to the noise around you, but to the quiet voice within. And as you do, something remarkable begins to unfold. You no longer hand over your peace to circumstances. You stop being a leaf blown by the wind. You become the mountain grounded, unwavering, and deeply present. This hour isn't about productivity. It's about identity. It's about reminding yourself who you are before the world tries to convince you otherwise. In the beginning, I wasn't perfect. There were mornings I overslept. Mornings when my mind whispered, "Just today, let it go." And honestly, I was tempted. I felt the pull of comfort. But each time I gave in, I noticed something within me retreat. A quiet part of me dimmed. The truth is, we often resist silence not because it's empty, but because it's honest. It doesn't flatter us. It doesn't distract us. It simply reflects us as we are. And that's the hardest part. To sit there and meet the version of yourself you can't filter, can't dress up, can't run from. But also, it's the most liberating. The longer I committed to that sacred first hour, the more the other 23 began to transform. I started making wiser decisions, not out of fear, but from inner alignment. I responded instead of reacting. I connected more deeply in my relationships, not because I tried harder, but because I carried less chaos. Stillness began to live in me. And that stillness didn't require a therapist, a coach, or some external breakthrough. It simply asked me to show up for myself consistently, to honor the time I used to ignore, to replace avoidance with presence, to stop waiting for motivation and start building a rhythm that would carry me through even when I didn't feel like it. You see, one of the greatest lies we're told is that change takes years and that growth is complicated. But the truth, change begins the moment you stop ignoring yourself. Give yourself 1 hour before the world arrives, before the phone, before the noise. Because how you start the day is how you teach your soul to live. If you begin your day in a rush, fleeing, avoiding, filling every moment with distraction, your soul forgets. It forgets how to lead. It forgets it was born for peace, not pressure. It forgets its nature, to build, to grow, to be rooted. But if you begin your day with strength, with intention, and with silence, your soul remembers. It remembers how to return. It remembers how to stand still in a shaking world. This 1 hour each morning is not about sacrificing your freedom. It's about reclaiming it. You are no longer asking the world to treat you better. You're simply choosing to become better. And when you become better, everything around you slowly begins to align. Let go of the idea that this is just a morning tactic. It's not a hack. It's not a trend. It is a spiritual practice. To master the first hour of your day is to master the quiet voice inside you. It's to remind your mind, you are not my master, you are my servant. It's to step into the day with clarity, not chaos. The world may reward noise, hustle, and speed, but the soul moves in stillness. And only those who protect that space each morning will hear its voice clearly. You don't need more apps. You don't need more strategies. You need presence. You need space to breathe. You need a moment each day to say, before anything else, I choose me. Because the way you begin the day will echo in how you carry your entire life. The first time I truly sat in deep stillness, I felt fear. Not because anything outside was threatening, but because I had to face myself. Without noise, without work, without social media to shield me. I sat there, and the storm arrived. Regrets, fears, unresolved questions. But I didn't run away. I stayed. I breathed. I watched. And then, something miraculous happened. The storm began to settle. The inner noise softened. And what remained was me. Not the version of me I perform for the world, but the raw, honest, grounded version that had been waiting. From that moment, I understood. Not every part of your morning should be filled with doing. Don't turn it into another checklist. Make space for emptiness, for silence, for simply being. In that sacred nothingness, something powerful awakens your inner strength. Stillness is not laziness. It is the highest form of discipline. Anyone can react. Anyone can stay busy. but to pause, to observe, to understand. That is strength. Why do so many people feel unanchored? Because they've never stayed with themselves long enough to feel steady. They live on the surface, bouncing from one emotion to the next, forgetting that inside them is a world that longs to be heard. That 1 hour of morning stillness becomes your doorway to that inner world. And once you've touched it, you no longer need more advice, more validation, more noise. You simply need the courage to return, each day, to the deepest, most sincere version of you. And from that place, everything begins to shift. Stillness is not the end of life. It's the doorway to truly living. Many believe that to change, they need more tools, more inspiration, more help from others. But what I've discovered is quite the opposite. You don't need more. You need less noise. You need more silence. Each morning I began with gentle motion stretching, breathing, walking slowly. But the change didn't come from movement. It came from what lived between the movements, from the stillness, from the space where I did absolutely nothing, where I wasn't performing, achieving, or reacting, but simply listening, not to the outer world, but to the voice within. That's when I realized. Stillness is the sharpest blade in a warrior's soul. Not because it battles chaos, but because it dissolves it. There's a reason monks choose silence. A reason sages retreat into quiet, not because they're avoiding the world, but because they're preparing to see it more clearly. Because when your mind becomes still, it becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, you finally see what your life has become, what your soul is asking of you, and most of all, who you truly are. This is why silence scares us, not because it's empty, but because it's true. And truth, when unfiltered, can feel overwhelming, but it is also the only place where healing begins. That one silent hour each morning is not a break from life. It is the moment you finally meet life, fully, honestly, completely. And once you've met yourself in that silence, you will never again settle for noise as a substitute for peace. Don't fill your first hour with endless tasks. Don't turn it into another checklist to complete. Instead, reserve a part of it for stillness, for nothingness. A space not dictated by urgency, but by presence. Sit quietly. Breathe slowly. Let your body speak. Let your breath guide. Let your mind begin to settle. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. You may feel restless, like something inside you is missing. But that discomfort is not a problem. It's a signal, an invitation back to yourself. You see, we've been trained to believe that our worth lies in how much we do. So we stay busy to feel valuable. We scroll, we plan, we consume, because stillness feels too vulnerable. But the truth is, stillness is not a void. It is a meeting place, a sacred place where you encounter the version of you that you've long ignored. That stillness is where your real power lives. Not in the noise, not in the busyness, but in the quiet strength that arises when you are fully present. Stillness is not weakness. It is the highest discipline. Anyone can be busy. Anyone can keep moving. But it takes courage to stop, to listen, to see. Why do so many people feel lost? Because they've never stayed with themselves long enough to feel anchored. They keep running from fear, from pain, from truth. But the running never ends. Stillness does. In that quiet hour, you no longer perform. You no longer chase. You simply exist, honestly, wholly. And it is in that sacred stillness that your true self gently rises. The self that no longer needs approval. The self that leads, not reacts. The self that has been waiting for you to return home. Do you truly want to change your life? Then don't begin with something grand. Begin with something sacred. 1 hour, just for you, each day, even when it's uncomfortable, even when your mind says, not today, even when everything inside you begs for distraction, stay. Because peace does not come from escaping the world. Peace is born in the courage to face yourself without judgment. The 1 hour rule is not just about discipline, it's about devotion to yourself. Not the self you present to others, but the deeper self, the one who longs to breathe, to feel, to be seen. You don't need to add more noise to your mornings. You need to subtract. Subtract urgency. Subtract performance. Make space for stillness. In that silence, something ancient awakens. A knowing, a remembering, a presence that cannot be shaken by the world's demands. Stillness is not weakness. It is your spiritual spine. The invisible thread that holds you steady when everything else moves. It's easy to respond. It's easy to move. It's easy to fill. But what takes strength, what reshapes your soul, is the willingness to pause, to let go of reaction, to listen to your breath, to sit with the uncomfortable, and to discover that even in your discomfort, you are whole. This is not laziness. This is mastery. And it begins, not in a rush, but in a sacred hour that no one sees but you. And yet, it changes everything you touch. You begin to carry stillness into the chaos. You walk into the world not needing to conquer it, because you've already made peace within.